to episode 31 of Spanish Answers. So today we're going to talk briefly about coronavirus and then kind of talk about some Spanish comics as a mental break from it all. I know that this week we were planning on doing a little bit about the possessives, but with things getting even more kind of scary and intense with the coronavirus, I thought maybe we should take a slight detour this week and just talk about that. So we'll do some key terms and phrases and then go towards a little bit more of the laughter aspect of life. Just again, to kind of take a step back and breathe in and out and remember that there are things worth laughing at in life as well still. So yeah, as you can see, I'm also in a different setup this week. We are still working on getting my normal office area in a manageable place because we've put all of our baby stuff there, and we're trying to figure out how best to get ready for little M. And yeah, so I don't have my mug, I don't have a normal desk setup kind of thing, but so yeah, we'll make it through. But I apologize if the sound quality or the video quality are a little bit different than normal, because it is what it is. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's start off with the thing that is weighing the most heavily on pretty much everyone's minds these days. So, COVID-19, or as they say in Spanish, COVID-19, also known as coronavirus or coronavirus. So, let's give you some key phrases if you want to talk about this with maybe your Spanish friends, or if you just want to practice it and use real life applications for what's going on in everyone's life right now. So some precautions that you can take, obviously. So precauciones is to wash your hands frequently. So lavarse frecuentemente las manos. Wash your hands frequently. Lavarse frecuentemente las manos. To clean and sanitize things. So limpia y desinfecta cosas. Clean and sanitize. Limpia y desinfecta. Cough or sneeze into your arm. Toser o estornudar en el brazo. So cough or sneeze into your arm. Toser o estornudar en el brazo. And of course, avoid touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. Evitar tocarse los ojos, la boca, o la nariz. So avoid touching your eyes, mouth, or nose. Evitar tocarse los ojos, la boca, o la nariz. And then of course we're all practicing social distancing to one extent or another, right? So distancia social, social distancing. Make sure that you don't shake hands with people when you greet them, which is super weird and super hard and a little bit awkward. But no saludar de mano. So don't shake hands. No saludar de mano. And then some symptoms of having coronavirus is fever, cough, and difficulty breathing. So los síntomas, fiebre, tos, y dificultad para respirar. So los síntomas de coronavirus es fiebre, tos, dificultad para respirar. So symptoms are fever, cough, and difficulty breathing. Alright, so that's obviously been weighing on everyone's mind, and I'm sure you guys need a break, so I needed a break as well, a mental break that is, so I thought what better way than to have a moment where you can smile. Just, you know, laughter is the best medicine, as they say. So with all the stress going on, let's take a moment to kind of enjoy a few things that bring us laughter. So the focus for this episode will be the translated and Spanish comics that I have found. So I went on a search to see kind of what kind of comics are out there that we could talk about, and I found some of my favorite comic strips translated into Spanish. So a comic is in Spanish called un cómic or te veo, but these really refer to kind of more like the Avengers or Batman. So in English, we also have the same thing where we talk about comics. But normally if you talk about a comic, right, you're thinking about going down to the drugstore and buying your weekly comic book. So that's not quite what I'm talking about. I'm talking about comic strips. So those comics that you see in the newspaper every day, and especially the Sunday paper, right? We all love to fight over the Sunday paper comics. And these are called tira cómicas. Tira cómica. So comic strip, or tiras cómicas. And I think in Mexico they call them cuentos. So let me know if that's incorrect, but I believe they're called cuentos. So tiras cómicas traducidas, translated comic strips. So first one is Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson. So this is a childhood classic. My husband grew up on these. I grew up on these. I think our parents maybe didn't quite grow up on them, but definitely loved them as well. So it's basically the adventures of a 6-year-old Calvin and his imaginary toy stuffed tiger Hobbes, and just the adventures they go on. And Calvin's very ornery, very much a 6-year-old boy, very hyper, and it's just lovely, but he's also very insightful. So Bill Watterson has some pretty snarky societal commentary through this this comic strip, and it's just wonderful. It's a joy. So I am including links to all of these comic strips in the show notes, and basically this comic strip has it's been translated again into Spanish, so the link will be to the Spanish one, not the English one, and I highly recommend it because it is a delight. And then there's of course Garfield by Jim Davis. So this is the fat orange cat who loves to sleep, loves to eat, and loves to torment his dog and his owner. So really kind of a fun comic as well. And then there's Dilbert by Scott Adams, and I love Dilbert super much because it is basically my life at work. So I live in Cubeville, if you did not know that, and Dilbert is all about Cubeville. It's really focused on engineering in Cubeville, but I find that a lot of his humor is applicable to anyone that has spent any amount of time in the corporate world. So highly recommend that. As a child, I didn't quite understand Dilbert. Like, it was kind of a comic that was there that my dad loved to read because my dad is an engineer who also works in Cubeville, but now I get it. I totally get it. So highly recommend that one, especially if you have any connection to the corporate Cubeville world. And then there is Baby Blues by Rick Kirkman and Jerry Scott. This is about a family with 3 children and just their everyday lives. Parents dealing with what it's like to raise kids and all the adventures and trials and hardships that come with that. And it's just a great slice of life type of comic strip that really resonates with those who both have children and don't have children. So my husband and I are expecting our first little one, but we have loved Baby Blues for years. Anyway, so highly recommend that one. And then there are a few comic strips that are just Spanish comic strips. So they haven't been translated. They originally were in Spanish and wanted to share those ones with you. So these are tiras cómicas españolas. Tiras cómicas españolas. And these are Macanudo by Liniers. And this one is, I don't even know how to describe Macanudo. It can focus around various characters. He's got a really wide range of cast, and there's a little girl and a cat, and they are adorable together on their little adventures. But there's also like the man that wears a black hat that you don't really know what he is or who he is, and then there's just random people comics. Like, it's a fascinating comic, but I love Macanudo. I love Macanudo so much. I don't know if it's just the really unique art style or the wacky sense of humor or what it is about Macanudo, but I highly recommend that one. It's quite a delight. And then, of course, there's Mafalda, which is classic. It's kind of like the Calvin and Hobbes of the Spanish world. Like what Calvin and Hobbes was for America is what Mafalda was for Colombia, as far as I can tell. It's a precocious, I don't know if she's 6, but a precocious little girl, and just her witticisms on life and her parents dealing with her and her being just a little girl and saying things, you know, kids say the darndest things, right? That TV show there's a reason that TV show was so successful. But highly recommend looking at Mafalda as well. And on a side note, I know that you can get Macanudo and Mafalda both on Amazon.com. So there's that. But that's pretty much it for today. So I will have links to all of these in the show notes. I highly recommend, if you are quarantined or self-quarantined or social distancing and are trapped at home because you can work from home or whatever the case is, highly recommend that you take a moment and just have a little bit of a mental break and read some of these comics and kind of de-stress. I will, of course, also have links to the CDC resource on COVID-19 as well, both in English and in Spanish, if you want to practice your more medical terminology for a real-life situation going on right now. That would be a great opportunity too. But again, just wanted to bring some light humor to your life right now because I definitely needed it. So I assumed that there were probably others that did as well. Alright, thank you so much for listening, and as always, if you have any questions or topics that you would like me to discuss, please send them to me at contact@languageanswers.com. That's contact@languageanswers.com. And if you never want to miss another episode, please subscribe. You can subscribe through YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Transistor, SoundCloud, all of those. And this episode is produced by Language Answers Ltd. at www.languageanswers.com. I'm a translator, podcaster, and editor. Alright, well that is all for this episode, and we will talk in 2 weeks. So I hope you have a good 2 weeks. I hope that you stay safe and healthy, and we will get through this. So please don't panic. If you feel yourself starting to panic, go ahead and take a comic break, because that's exactly what I intend to do. Alright, hasta luego.